virtually streaming. We got a lot of people. We got quite a few people watching. Welcome. This is the inaugural stream of Story or Chit. We're going to do a monthly live stream for these. So to coincide with like the videos when we release on Mondays, we're also going to have a live stream once a month on a Monday, which is what you're seeing now. So hopefully we caught you on a lunch break or something similar. I'm Ian, as you can see at the bottom there. We also have over here.
Hi, I'm Luke. I was the guy who posted the video last Monday about the Imperial Settlers Quiver, if you haven't checked that out. If that's something that interests you, definitely check that out. Yeah.
And then we also have our guest.
Hi, Doug Levandowski, game designer and Quiver enthusiast.
There you go. You just like immediately went off right when you
You got to make them work for it.
Yeah,
right.
You gotta want it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's see who else is watching. We got Brian Lenz, Kevin Dunkelberger, or K-Dunk as we call him, Adam Young, Jim Schock, Jason Miller, Josh Schwartz, Julia are all watching.
All right.
Yeah.
So how's it going, everyone? Hopefully your Monday is going well. We decided to not work as hard today. In this hour, I mean, you know, it's still, I guess, kind of work, if you can call it that. That's the most fun part, is we get to call everything we do work.
Oh, yeah. But that can also get really, like, I play a lot of games just because, like, I feel like I have to.
Right.
And so, like, my Friday night gaming groups almost becomes a job. And on some nights, my friends will catch me, like, in a real bad mood, and they'll be like, what's going on? I'm like, I didn't feel like I got enough work done tonight. And, like, that's just a super weird kind of mentality that I need to start working out of, because it's really easy to start, like, leaning into everything's work, everything's a job.
Right.
I don't play my favorite games anymore because I need to review this thing. I need to, you know, whatever, develop this.
It's like the saying, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Which is bullshit.
It's false. Because what actually is, if you do something you love, then there's no break between your real life and your work life, and then everything is work. When you're not working, you feel like you should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 3 years ago, I realized I was heading down that path with, like, game design, and realized that it had become, I was talking to somebody about it, and I was like, it started out as a hobby, but then it turned into a job. No, wait, it's a hob. It starts as a hobby, and then that just ends.
Right.
And it becomes a job. And that was like a big step for me in terms of like, okay, I'm going to do stuff that I want to do, and this isn't going to be like income replacement. This is going to be whatever it is. Hopefully it'll pay for itself.
Right.
Josh Schwartz says, "Hey guys." Jason Miller says, "Thanks for waiting for me," which is his usual chime in.
You're welcome, Mr. Miller.
Come here, come here. Bring your Quiver. Bring your storage things, your painting sets. We'll have you on.
Oh
next time.
Absolutely.
Josh Schwartz says, "Do they know that they spelled shit wrong in the logo?"
Oh no!
So they put a C there. Dang.
Oh man.
Jim says KS prep isn't fun. Oh yeah, they're prepping to launch. Academy's prepping to launch a Kickstarter soon.
Oh yeah.
No.
Jason Miller says work. I don't know if I was supposed to sing that. I don't know. I'm not gonna.
I feel like that would be one of the most depressing songs, though.
Right.
Work.
Isn't that a Rihanna song?
Yeah. So it's depressing. Yeah.
So depressing.
Adam Young says, I read a thing about freelance design that said, we work 60 hours a week so we don't have to work 40 hours a week. Ow.
That is
Ow.
God, I wish you could do freelance and only work 60 hours a week.
Right?
That sounds like the dream right there.
I come in at like 4:30, 5 a.m. every day, and I leave at like 3 on Friday, and then I do the same thing on Fridays.
Yep.
Because Julia works 10 hours Monday through Thursday.
Okay.
But then I also come in on Friday here, so I work the full 40, and then also I come in Friday for usually longer.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's close. It's about close to 60. But
Yeah.
no, I like it better. I wouldn't say it. We've gone off on a little bit of a tangent here.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think
it's applicable.
I think I can take off our lower thirds for right now. Did it work? It did work.
Goodbye, lower thirds.
The magic.
Or upper third.
Special effects.
Oh.
But yeah, so...
Well, I wouldn't say I'm in the upper third. I would say it's more like upper sixth.
In this group, you're the upper third.
No, I'm not.
But yeah, so Luke, why don't you talk a little bit about the first video that we launched.
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, our first video, my series is focused on big games being condensed down into smaller containers, and for the first one I did Imperial Settlers in the pink quiver, which, if that's the quiver that you want to work with, I know it's a limited edition, so that one's going to be harder to find. They still have a good number of them on their website, if I recall correctly. I think the biggest thing for me that I would want to go back and change, let's start with the criticisms, because I have to criticize everything, including my own
Especially
garbage.
what you do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I got these stickers for a playtesting thing that I was working on, and they're paper stickers. So another project, the next one that I'm going to be filming, I brought to Origins to show you, which never happened. But the day that we got there, yeah, that should be like the tagline of conventions, the things that were meant to be.
Right. Origins, 5 days. Still not enough.
Still not enough.
But it was raining the day that we got in, and I was like, oh no, I have to protect my quiver so that the stickers aren't ruined. So
Right.
I need to get around to getting a sticker for it.
Just spray it. Just do a laminate.
Yeah.
Or just packing tape. Right
Well, Jess was saying she does some painting stuff, and so she was suggesting like she could paint a design over top of this
Oh, yeah.
instead of that. Which again, I don't know how that would work with the rain, but depending on what kind of paint and that kind of thing. If you guys have any suggestions on what kind of art stuff we could do with quivers, I'm all about that life. So like, this is my permanent home for Imperial Settlers now.
Right.
My goal, I don't know if I was super clear on the video, but my goal with these is, this is my forever home. I throw out the boxes when I'm done with the videos kind of thing.
Ooh, no, keep them for prototypes, man. Don't be a monster.
Well, here's the thing is, unlike you guys who have like a giant storehouse, I have to share
5 offices.
I have to share my apartment with my roommate and soon my significant other, and it's 1,200 square feet.
Hide them under your roommate's bed.
That's fair.
Mhm.
That's fair. That's reasonable. But I don't really have too much space for that. I do save a lot of my boxes though. But my biggest concern, other than that, is the scoreboard is still like, it's a bit snug. You can see there's some marks on the back of it from just being stored this way, but it's not like the back of this is literally nothing. It's
Right.
just a design.
Does it fit into the pocket?
It does
or no?
not,
It
because
does
it's
not.
too
tall.
wide. Yeah,
Ah,
that's why it
okay.
needs to sit right
Yeah.
there on the seam. Otherwise, it just will not fit for any reason. And you could just replace this with like almost anything.
I mean, you can make it a smaller one. I know.
You could get everybody like those spin dial things.
It's
Yeah,
true, yeah.
one of the things John does, John made, and this is going to be in one of his videos that he does, where he highlights games that he has in his quiver, which he's already filmed quite a few of those, so we just have to go through and edit them and put them together and then
Yeah.
release them. But one of the ones that he did was he made a special score sheet for Fantasy Realms, which is one of our favorite games that I think is in most of the quivers of the people who I know who own that game, because it's a 1 deck of cards and then a score sheet, so it's very easy to like have to put into a quiver, and like 1 deck of cards is like 54 cards, like it's not even like 100 cards or whatever, but the score sheets were too wide for, and like, you know, and there was a lot of them, so it was too tall for the thing. So John made custom score sheets that like he put them on like 4 per page, double-sided. So you have like 8 per page that you print out, and he printed out like 4 of them, so that he could keep it in the quiver with everything else. So it's like a custom score sheet for it, which you could obviously do with that also.
Yeah.
Fancied up a little bit.
Absolutely. I definitely built in some extra space into it where like people could obviously stack these containers a little taller and make some more room for expansions, which I wasn't expecting for there to be more expansions to worry about. But then I went on BGG and I'm like, hey, so this game is done because the big box is coming out. And they're like, nope, no, we're still doing it. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll have to make choices down the road. The most frustrating...
And that choice is buy a second quiver for the expansion.
Right, absolutely. But in the big box, these expansion characters that came in 2 pieces because of the box size is now going to have their full art on a single piece. And it's like, I'm not buying the big box for not the box, but for this. But I really wish...
you really want to.
It's just like, it's so much more obnoxious to store.
Right.
Even in this format, it's just like, I just want everything to be uniform.
Packing tape.
Yeah, fair.
So catching up on some comments, Chase Miller says, "When I was your age, we didn't have hours," in reference to our working 3 hours a week. Josh Schwartz says, "Can you get all of Too Many Bones into a mint tin? It's a challenge."
Oh, wow.
To which Jim responded, "I can try, but you're not gonna like it." Jason Miller says, "I did, but it took a hammer." And then in reference to your stickers, Josh Schwartz says Mod Podge might help to help them stick. And
that's
also, K Dunk says you can save the stickers with some clear paint.
Smart.
Or like clear nail polish.
Okay.
There'd be a lot of nail polish though.
Yeah.
We just. All right, got the letters.
It's an exercise of love.
To blow on it.
I've definitely
And then
thought
inhale the
about...
fumes and just pass out.
Right. You'll have more fun by the end.
Right.
I've definitely thought about, since they mentioned it, doing a Too Many Bones quiver. I think the hardest part about that is, so quivers have a lot of good space for playmats.
Right.
I have actually thought about getting playmats for Imperial Settlers, because that was a promo that they released, and I play this exclusively 2-player, generally speaking.
Right.
I don't like it too much with 3 or 4, but I know people do. Regardless, I've thought about that. My concern is that so many playmats exist for Too Many Bones that it's just going to run out of space for them.
Right, because like each character has one.
Each character has
one.
the custom one, and then there's the battle board. There's also the map, which I think is unnecessary, but if you want to contain it, that's a thing. And I think, if I remember the measurements correctly, they take a little bit more than half the space of the top of it. So it's like I can't go half and half.
Right.
All of them have to be rolled up in a single bundle, which is like a nightmare.
Right.
So unless I dedicate a giant chunk of space in the actual base of it, which means then there's all the cards and the tokens
And the chips and the dice.
But depending on how much content you want for a travel case.
Right.
It could be a partial one. So if you guys, if you folks are interested in having us cover any particular games in the future, let us know, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
Because I'm super excited for like being given realistic challenges. I know that one of the games that I recently started working on, I had to order some custom products for it, but it was like a jigsaw puzzle of like, how am I supposed to fit this stuff in here?
And if you solve it, then no one else has to solve it.
Right, exactly.
Right. So speaking of which, I have one for you.
Yeah.
Spirit Island.
Ooh, okay.
It's going to be a spicy meatball.
Yeah, it's got a lot of little pieces.
Yep.
The map, the tile pieces
the biggest part is the tile pieces.
Yeah.
Because if you have to... If I recall correctly from the last time I played it, the map pieces are about yay big, which is a bit too big for this.
Oh, yeah.
But it's definitely... I've definitely thought about stuff like that. Like Gaia Project is one that I've always wanted to fit in a smaller box, and those have modular pieces. Right. So I definitely am interested in looking into that. And with a game that size, I know it's a very popular game. I know it's one of your favorites for sure.
I love it so much.
And with so much more content coming out.
Yeah.
I've also, and the thing is that the player boards themselves, like I've thought about this with stuff like Vast and the Crystal Caverns. The player boards themselves are good information, but you don't really necessarily need them if you have a good rule sheet for that character. Some of them do.
Right.
Like the goblins need to have tokens on there to track specific pieces of information.
Oh,
but that could be condensed down.
Right.
You know. But like I said, I don't know Spirit Island as well. So what is tracked on those physical boards?
Everything. Yeah. Spirit Island. I think you very badly need those, or you'd need like a complicated set of cards.
Oh, Jim has a solution. He says if you can fit a roll of duct tape in the quiver, you can break pieces, and that's fine. Jim is also going to be one of our other collaborators on this, and you can tell what angle he's coming at this series with.
Right.
This is more will it quiver, which is not a question. It is a challenge to be overcome.
Right. He puts a how in front of that question.
How will this quiver? How many corners do I have to cut? And he means literally cut.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam Young says you can break the walls between this and your coffee stream and do a Quiver with an AeroPress hand grinder bag of coffee in it. You're like, all right, and then just have.
Let me just take a sip from my Quiver. That Colombian.
All right.
I mean, you could definitely do like for a travel video, like half of your Quiver is games and half of your Quiver is like, this is the coffee of the week that I'm bringing to this convention.
These are my clothes for the convention.
Yeah.
Oh, Jim would just have one of those just full of shirts. He
Right.
brings like 80 shirts to every convention. Chase Miller says the hardest part would be needing 87 Quivers and then being 500 pounds.
But do you think, going back to what we were talking about, do you think that the Spirit Island boards could be condensed in any way? Like, is the size of them entirely necessary?
Once you know how to play the game, probably less so, right? Because a lot of that is just player reference.
I mean, if you had your guys memorized,
Right.
but there's so much information in that game, and you switch, like, I like to switch characters almost constantly.
Yeah.
Unless I want to show off, in which case Thunder Speaker.
Sure.
First round, I'm going to destroy that city. But yeah, other than the image on there, I think all of that information is necessary because you have the presence tracker that you're removing stuff from. You need that.
Right.
The innate powers you need unless you have those memorized, which good luck.
Yeah, the number of characters.
Yeah, that's not.
And then the additional innate power stuff on the other side, like the
those player boards
the
are
persistent power.
double-sided.
Yeah, and then on the other side is not necessary, really.
Okay.
That's just the only thing you need to know on that side is where you put your starting presence.
Gotcha.
Which you could single-side it if you swapped out the picture or put a reference on the picture
Right.
of start with 2 presents on the board, 1 here, 1 there, or whatever.
I mean, you could easily have like a card that says, "Here's your start setup," and then toss that back in the box.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll put that under challenge.
Yeah.
We'll put that in the challenge column.
Challenge accepted.
Yay! I mean, you've accepted the challenge of like making some of my games playably like worth playing before, and succeeded in some cases.
Yeah.
But the cases where you haven't, it's my fault. But this is nothing. Like this should be a piece of cake compared to like compared to name redacted.
K-Dunk says make companion apps for any player boards you need.
True.
Yeah, just learn app coding and just make a companion app.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you don't have to worry about anything. You just need another skill.
You just
Right.
need
You just need to
to
include a
store.
smartphone in every one.
You need to store a computer in the Quiver.
We actually have one of our prototypes.
I mean,
has,
smartphone will go right here. That's
Right.
easy.
One of our prototypes behind you has 2 smartphones in it.
Oh, is this? I think I know
Yeah.
this one. Yeah.
Specifically because if we play with 4 players, we need 4 apps.
Right.
Like, so we have to, like, each player kind of has to have their own. We can't be like, oh, hey, just install this third-party app on your smartphone to test this game for us.
This is that extra fun real-time one, right?
Yeah.
I'm
So,
just
yeah, it's funny because
imagining.
we just have one that's like, I mean, technically it's about as expensive as some of our other prototypes, but it's like the most expensive one because it just has 2 phones in it.
I'm just imagining a Quiver with like 15 different smartphones in it. Like, which Spirit Island character would you like to play?
Right.
I've
Well,
got.
we were just playing.
Oh no! Don't take that one. That's my burner.
No, you just do it because we were playing the Jackbox games yesterday.
Right.
We just have this is my Jackbox Quiver, and it's just 14 smartphones.
Right.
All right, everyone, sync up.
You trying to date this werewolf?
Don't you know I'm the hunter?
That game was way more fun than I expected it to be. To be
Yeah.
completely honest.
I think it was Monster Seeking Monster.
Yep.
In Jackbox Party Games.
Yep.
I think it was Party Game 4 with the Jackbox
It was
4.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's fun. It is like a hidden identity game.
Dating
with
game.
dating.
Yeah.
Hidden identity dating
Yeah.
game. It was great.
I was real bad at it, but I enjoyed it. I think I finished last every game.
Almost. I think my zombie gamble didn't work off that last time, so
Right.
I might have ended up in last.
Right. Yeah, I lost to a robot in one game.
Because we all had to make sure the robot didn't lose.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Or else
Which
we all
I thought
lose.
was very smart. Like the robot that was in the one rhyming game was like, it's just there for an extra player.
Right.
But the fact that the
And
robot...
it took second, I think.
Yep, it did take second out of all of us.
But I'm frustrated because I was spitting some heat with like some poly rhyming and it was going unappreciated. So
hey, I put in some good votes.
yeah, I
for
appreciate that, but I don't know. Maybe I was just on a next level and people weren't ready for it. I don't know.
I'm usually really bad at Jackbox games, but yesterday, for whatever reason, I was doing particularly
You were
well.
on fire.
I think
You
it
were
was
pretty
just because
crushing.
of the social environment,
Right.
like just feeling naturally like I know this audience, I know what
Right.
sells. So
Bracket Mania was real good.
Yeah, or just change stuff on you.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going off tangent. If you haven't played the Jackbox games,
They're fun.
they're fun. Like
Mhm.
there's some of them that are a little like on the party game side. Like
Right.
we get it. It's a little bit simplified. And,
yeah,
but no, there's some of them that have legitimately really good mechanics to them.
Mhm.
Like mechanically, they work really well.
Yeah, Monster Seeking Monster is one
Yeah.
of those.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it'll fit in a quiver.
TKO, Jim says, is amazing.
Yes,
That's
we
the
played
t-shirt
TKO.
one. Yep.
Twice, actually.
Yeah.
That one
Um,
was cute. That was the one that I by far had the hardest time with because I wanted to make my art way better than it needed to be.
Oh yeah. It's the worse the better usually.
Yeah.
I'm still salty that Cash and Dix didn't win.
I mean,
But
I
it was
really
just like put in slogans. I slam dunk like 15 slogans every round because I'm just gonna put in random stuff,
Right.
and then it works out so perfectly
Yep.
every time.
Yep.
I really appreciated Oh No, because Oh No was a shirt
Right.
from someone else of a drawing of me drawing someone else's drawing with corn involved, and the caption was just Oh No.
What was the caption on the one that had the house on fire?
Oh
Because
god,
that was so good.
something about money.
Show me the money.
Yeah, show me the money,
Right.
and it's just a house burning in the
Oh, man.
background.
Kevin says, "I love to stream Jackbox from my friends and family far, far away."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I mean it seems good because they can get in because you can do audience things. I
Mhm.
thought about streaming it on like one of our Friday streams,
Yeah,
but it seemed like very tangentially related.
sure.
But then again, we kind of do whatever the fuck we want with our streams, so like we're not
Yeah.
beholden to anything. We played video games on there before.
Like
Mhm.
honestly, in the summer I would get in on that.
Oh,
Because I
absolutely.
can just smartphone in from home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And just watch the thing on the stream. Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
You can play, like actually be one of the players as well. You
Yeah.
could have audience members just straight up
And
be
we just have
participating.
people rotate in
Yeah.
and out, and the rest of people in the audience, and the audience gives votes one way or the other,
Mhm.
and then like they actually get points for it too.
Mhm.
It works. Like that system is great, and
Yeah.
we thought about it for a weird thing that I don't think will ever exist. But we thought about doing that style of thing for an
Mhm.
app-based
Mhm.
game that we wanted to do. But I don't think that it was ever going to happen. I think that
Mhm.
was just sort of like, no, it's too many steps above
Yeah.
what a board game does
And
currently.
you stream Fridays at 1?
Yeah.
Because that's nap time for...
Oh, well, look at that.
From a
That
1 and
seems
a
like
half
a
year old.
plan.
Yeah.
The plan is coming along.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, Doug,
And I'm so desperate for human interaction, so...
well, please talk into the camera and tell them.
I'm
about-
so desperate for human interaction. Oh, about what?
about like some of the main things that we have guests on, which you are a guest.
The first.
The first guest in our
Mhm.
first stream is if they have a quiver.
Mhm.
We have them talk about what games they have in their quiver. If they don't, then what small games they love,
Sure.
or big games they want smaller. Since you have a quiver, you can go and start there.
Okay.
Your quiver is stock.
Yeah, it is.
It is full.
Filled to the brim.
Yeah, so I copped about a year ago, right before I went to Origins. I got the purple quiver, because purple is my favorite color.
Is also the one that we have, that I
Yeah.
have, Julian, for our
Yeah.
games.
And just so happy with it.
Lick it?
No, I kissed it.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
That's less weird.
It was right there. I was like,
Yeah.
this just feels right.
So we'll start. I'm not going in any particular order here. So I have just a deck of cards because you never know.
There's a lot of games.
Yep.
Play that.
A bunch of games in
Have you
there.
seen the Shut Up and Sit Down card games that don't suck series?
John was telling me about that
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah, there's like 7 or 8 of them already, and they just use a standard poker deck.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And some of them are like Skull, but with using
Yeah,
a poker
or
deck. Like-
yeah. Like Cockroach Poker. Before I had my own copy,
Right.
I used just a few decks of cards for that one as well.
Mhm.
Jim says, it's nap time for me too, Doug. And Jason Miller says, I got a quiver for KDM.
For what?
Kingdom Death Monster.
Okay.
Oh God.
The big game with all the big miniatures.
Yeah, one of my neighbors has that, and he's like, "Do you want to play?" And I'm like,
Listen, like, to get that, like, you don't understand the investment that he made. To get that game ready, he had to put hands in bird buttholes. Like, he had to glue them in. Yeah, some of the, he puts together the sculpts. One of the sculpts is just a bird with hands coming out of everywhere, including its butthole, where you have to put, like, you have to glue hands into the bird's butthole, like, grabbing outward.
"Wow."
Yeah.
Well, good on you, Chris.
It's also impressive that you just happened upon someone who's like, yeah, I invested in this like super niche game.
Right.
Yeah. So to pause from the Quiver, one of our neighbors who goes to our church has she and her husband every year for the past like 30 years do what they call pie hell, where on Thanksgiving they make a number of pies equal to the last 2 digits of the calendar year. Pumpkin pies. Which they started in like, I think her husband started in like the 70s, and it was like a thing where his friends were like, "There's no way we could." We can.
It's gotten so much easier now.
Right. Yeah, well, they do more now because so many people come over. But so these neighbors had just moved in next door to them, and we were talking about games, and he was like, "Do you like games?" I was like, "I love games." Like 30 minutes later, we're in his basement checking out like the 2 cabinets he has. Andrea's texting me like, "Where did you go? You just walked out." And I'm like, "I'm in Chris's basement. It's cool down here. I'll be back later." So now we play D&D together, and it's dope.
Nice.
Yeah, then just continuing down the stack, I have my purple mini cube of magic. So this is, in keeping with purple being my favorite color, these are some of my favorite commons and uncommons from forever.
I think when I played that, you had asked me about one. Did that one
Yeah.
end up making it in there?
It did. It was like a white
yeah.
soldier. I forget the name.
It was
when it dies.
Doomed Traveler.
Oh
Traveler.
yeah, Doom Traveler's a
Doomed
great
Traveler
card.
is like
Boom.
probably my favorite
Yeah.
common.
I remember.
Because he's a 1/1 for 1 white mana, and when he dies, you put a 1/1 white spirit creature token of flying into play.
Yep.
So he's amazing. Like
Yep.
he's usually good, no
Mhm.
matter when you play him.
Right. Yeah, you can kill him if you want. But you're just gonna make him better.
Right, and he's make a flyer, which is hey, give me evasion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I have that in here. And what I do with this is when I play with somebody, I tell them, hey, any card you want to put in here, you can, as long as it's common or uncommon from any set. And then I'll just pick it up when I can and throw it in.
Right.
And then like some lands for live drafting,
Mm.
using a system that Treat came up with, which is a real good, like, you don't have to sit there and crack packs and like spend half an hour putting it together.
Right.
You just shuffle, deal, go.
It's also a lot less expensive, generally speaking,
Yes.
because you only buy 1 pack each versus 3 normally.
Right.
Yeah.
Jim says
4 to 6. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He wants a Quiver for the DVD CD combo. And Jason Miller says, "Wait, you're supposed to glue hands into the BGG or into the BCG butthole of the miniatures. That makes way more sense. Why those birds were so angry." Not real birds, Jason.
Not real birds.
No birds were harmed in the making of Kingdom Death
That's
Monster.
right. And then I have Gothic Doctor, which is in here.
Classic.
We are working on a re-release for it, so we're tweaking some of the rules, that like first-time designer stuff where
Right.
I was like,
Like if I could go back.
right, oh man, if I could go back, this would be different. And it's going to be. So then we have some like prototype stuff in here as well. Some of all the expansions, things
Nice.
like that. So that's there. And then
Yeah, the camera's basically just right here.
Yeah, that's-
like,
okay.
It's definitely
So
not where
sure.
any of your
That's
stuff
fine.
is. I'll move this up.
You are very brave with how you pick up your cards out of that clip.
Yeah, you
Like just like clawing it.
This is the 2 on the side.
I have tremendous grip strength.
I'm not worried about your grip strength. I'm worried about the card's grip strength.
Okay.
Right, especially sleeved, right? There's
Exactly,
and
yeah.
middle explosion.
Yeah, most of them aren't sleeved, but
Mhm.
and then we get to the real exciting part, which is my micro game portion. So it fits in that much space,
Yeah.
and I have I forget how many games I have in here, but let's count.
Mhm.
Follow along at home.
Hey.
So most of these are from Jason Tagmeyer's Wallet Game series, which
Yep.
is one of my favorite series of games of all time forever.
Right.
because if you're not familiar, like, get familiar with it.
They're like $9 games.
Yep.
They're all 18 cards
Mhm.
plus expansion things based on the Kickstarters and stuff.
Right.
And there's usually like 3 of them per Kickstarter.
Right.
And you can also sign up for like the Board Game of the Month Club, in
Mhm.
which you get like these games that you can just play with like a deck of cards and a little bit of other
Right.
components, and also you get a discount on
Right.
the wallet games, which is awesome. Like the system he has is great.
I feel like I
super good.
had one of the wallet games once. It was like a meta game that you play at like game parties.
Pretense, probably?
Yes,
That's
Pretense,
the
yeah.
one.
Pretense is real good.
John has all of them,
Yes.
which kind of ruins the walletness of them because he has them all together.
Right. I'm probably gonna steal a few.
Well, probably got extras. He's accidentally ordered extras multiple times.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a couple of them where I'm like, wait, how did I miss that?
Yeah.
So the other thing that I love about them from just a design standpoint is whereas like bigger games will be like novels or like magnum opuses, these are like little short stories.
Right.
Mm.
Where like in a short story, you're not exploring like 50 themes and like the nature of reality as a whole. You're exploring like one little concept.
Mm.
Like the philosophical. I'm also an English teacher, so so like the philosophical stuff that Flannery O'Connor does, or like the social stuff that Shirley Jackson explores.
Mm.
And so these, I think, explore really cool niche aspects of whatever mechanic is core to the game.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, to dive in, I have Find Your Seats, which is a game about arranging the best dinner party.
Cool.
That one just looks really cool aesthetically.
It's real cool. Circle the Wagons, which I just recently discovered.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's like, so the Circle Your Wagons thing, the thing that I think makes it is there are every card is double-sided, and on the back of every card, the side that you don't normally interact with during the game, is a scoring goal.
Scoring condition.
So you shuffle the deck and you flip 3 cards over, that's your scoring things for the game.
Mm.
And then
in
the
addition
rest of
to
the
like
cards
the
play
base,
the game.
yeah.
In addition to the regular scoring.
Yeah.
That one being 2 players is great,
Mhm.
but then like Sprawlopolis came out, which is up to 4 players and it's a co-op. Like
Right.
you're trying to do these things.
Mm.
And the cool thing that they started doing was they started doing like daily challenges,
Mhm.
where it's like, here's your 3 scoring things. What's the best score you can get with that?
That daily challenges for stuff like this are so smart in
Right.
terms of just like it's almost like promos,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't actually have to print anything for them.
Yep.
And I got to be honest, I slept on Sprawlopolis when it came out, and then I played it with Ben Beagle,
So
and was like, "What have I done? I've made a terrible mistake."
I got it so that I could get Circle of the Wagons, and I haven't played Circle of the Wagons since because I just keep playing Sprawlopolis.
Yeah.
Not that anyone's better. It's just sort of like, oh, I have 3 or 4 players.
Right.
If I have 2 players, Circle of the Wagons.
Right. But yeah, I corrected that with the Tussy Mussy campaign,
Yep,
which like
yeah, I
was
just
an
got that one
insta
too.
back for me.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting Sprawlopolis with
And
that.
yeah, they have like they have bigger name designers and stuff that have worked on games like this. Like you have Daniel Newman did one. He did Head in the
Head
Sky.
in the Clouds.
Head in the Cloud.
And then he did a follow up to it.
Yeah, and he did a follow up to that, and then he's the designer of
Dead Man's Cabal.
Dead Man's Cabal,
Yep.
which just recently came out.
Mm-hmm.
So you get like these before they were famous kind of
Right.
things where I'd actually play tested Tussy Mussy because I know people who have games with them or are planning on having games with them, and they had this whole like design contest thing where people could submit games. So I played it and I was like, oh, this is really good. And then like around the time the Kickstarter came out, I think I realized I was like, oh, this is from Elizabeth Hargrave,
Right.
the designer of Wingspan.
Mm.
So I was like,
NBD.
right, yeah, no big deal. Well, she's great. We actually got a chance to meet her at Umpub, and she's super nice, and like you can tell the type of games that she really loves making because they turn out really, really well. Like
Mhm.
she's very good at like making the type of games that she wants.
Yeah.
And like you can tell in the mechanics, and they all work together. Like I love theme and mechanics working together for an experience, and she's
Absolutely.
very good at that.
Speaking of superstar designers doing tiny little games, Super Tall by Nat Levan,
Yeah.
which is a like a high-rise building game. That's real fun, real funky.
I think John and I played that one. It's been a while. I guess that one's more recent.
It
but
sounds familiar.
We played it like
Yeah.
right when he got it.
No, I don't recognize this.
Pickpockets by Matt Loomis and Isaac Shalev.
That was the first one, right?
I don't It was an earlier one. It wasn't like the
okay.
very first wallet game.
Well, it was one of the ones where like I'd asked a dumb question because I was like, you have a wallet game where you're actually trying to like steal money from people's wallets, right?
Right.
He's like, yeah. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. Because if you didn't, I don't know what you're doing.
Right. Yeah. The thing I forgot about this when I put it in was you actually need the wallet to play it.
Yep.
So good work, Doug. This is one of my favorite wallet games of all time. Jay Treat's Cunning Folk.
Okay.
This is, talk about like distilling stuff down. This is a 3x3 grid, and it's just like a perfect bluffing, like deduction, little micro essay kind of game. So good.
Yeah, that one looks really neat.
This is awesome. Yeah, if you haven't, have you not played this yet?
I haven't.
We're
I
gonna fix that
haven't
later.
Yeah. I have not played
Okay.
any of these games that you've listed.
Okay. You're missing out.
Oh, I believe it. That's why I'm letting you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Right.
We can play all of these later, except for this because I don't have the damn wallet, but you do. So
Right. Yeah. We have.
We'll just
he got
use
the
a real
he got the
wallet.
collector boxes.
Okay.
He has, I think, like 7 collector boxes because he has literally everything
Right.
I've ever made.
Wow.
He has every single one, and he's part of the Board Game of the Month Club,
Right.
which he did a game for,
Mhm.
which was the Time Warp, or
Yep.
Let's Do the Time Warp Again, I think it was called.
Yeah, that was the second year he did ones based on. No, that was the cult movie one.
Yeah, the cult movie one.
Yeah, which I did one for too. I did You're Tearing Me Apart, which was a legacy game played with a deck of cards, where you and your opponent are trying to create sets in a tableau, but on your turn you can take one of your cards, tear it in half, and throw half of it at your opponent's table tableau,
Okay.
and anything that it touches gets destroyed.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
And it's a legacy game. I forget what the like your games are all over condition was, but
Right.
yeah, I was real happy with that one.
I wasn't asked to make one, but I made one for Fight Club.
Right.
That like they didn't do anything with because I don't think I ever submitted it. But I was like, oh, you can do one for cult movies? I want to do one for Fight Club, and I did a Project Mayhem one, which was a social deduction one where you like get information by fighting the other players and you actually like swap cards.
Mhm.
So you're trying to find who your friends are,
Right.
and also whether or not you want to sabotage them, like figure out who wants to help you sabotage the Project Mayhem missions or help you succeed. Them.
Right.
Right.
That sounds right.
But yeah, I need to pick it back up because
Yeah.
I want to
Absolutely.
try it again.
And then the last wallet game I have in here is Rob Kramer's Turbo Drift, which is a cars on the board game where you play race, like street racers trying to reach the end, and has a really cool direction and speed selection mechanic in here.
Awesome.
So yeah, I have those 6 pocket games in here. I have another same size game, Love Means Nothing, which Matt Fantastic released. It is a real-time tennis game for 4 players. It's supposed to be 2 couples,
Okay.
because every game ends in people arguing, and it's wonderful. It's like so simple, but you only have 3 seconds to make each play.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's stuff on both sides of the card, but you only play one side, and you have to remember which is which.
Right.
It's just great, and like you just screw up so much, and it's wonderful.
So
And
Jason Miller
arguing is
said, going back a little bit farther, Jason Miller says, I have tremendous grip strength too, Doug. I'm so lonely. And then Jim says, In Vino Morte is great, which
Yes.
if you haven't played that one.
Yes.
In Vino Morte is the poison game
Yes.
for the Princess Bride for up
Yeah.
to like 7 players or something. Up to
Oh,
like
it's up
9
to
or
like
something.
18 players.
Oh, right, yeah, because, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we played that once at your place, like a while ago.
Yeah,
And I'm so bad at it. Like, I'd always try and poison someone, and they're always like, oh, well, I'm just going to swap with you. And I was like, you weren't supposed to do that.
Right.
Or I poisoned myself thinking that someone's going to swap with me, and then there's like, oh, no, I'm going to swap with this other player. And I was like, well, now I have a problem.
Right. Every time I've been somewhere I could buy that game, I've forgotten to buy it.
Right.
But
I had to like.
that's
pick it
one of
up
my
at
top
one of the
5
conventions.
wallet games for sure.
Whatever one, the last one that I was at, where I saw them, I was like, there it is.
Right.
I just grabbed it like immediately.
Yeah, like 2 Saturdays ago, I was at Thirsty Dice in Philly, and we had some time before the event there started, And the people I was with, I was like, hey, have you guys played any of these wallet games? And they were like, no, and they had a bunch up on the shelf. I was like, in Vino Morte it is.
Right.
We played 4 games, just like boom, 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 boom.
Because it's so fast.
It's
like,
so
you just keep
good.
going
Yeah.
until there's only like one person left who hasn't been poisoned.
Right.
But yeah, so like you're the host and you have to like pass out all the cards. You have to pass out at least one safe card.
Yeah.
And at least one poison card.
Right.
But you can pass out as many poison as you want. And as Jim said, I usually put as many poison in as possible. So when I last time I played, it was like there was 3 of us left, and so I could have just put 1 poison, had 2 people safe. Nah. 2 poison, 1 person safe. That person was not me, because I was like, they're gonna swap with me, and I know it. And Marshall, the first thing he did was he looked at mine, and they looked at, I'm gonna swap over here, and he swapped with the only person who was safe, and I was like, damn. And the other person was like, no, I'm good, and then we both died. And Marshall won.
It's so good. It's so good.
Oh, Jim said it was a Geekway. Yeah, I think it was a Geekway when I finally was able to purchase the game.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of pocket games. Like, I obsess over, like, wanting to fit small games like Cockroach Poker or Hanamakoji into, like, smaller boxes so I can just carry those places.
Yeah, right.
Because those games just, like...
I loved what they did with Jiraku when, like, TMG got it. Because originally it was just this big, like, it was a box like this big, which is nice, but it's awkward. And then TMG got it, and all they did was they took the board and they chopped it up into the 5 individual locations, and they fit it in a box that's big instead. Which was much better than the box that was this big.
So there we go.
So much more portable.
For Spirit Island, all we have to do is chop every character up, all of their player boards into like 20 cards
Yep. And
that you have to puzzle piece together at the start of
and
every
then all the
game.
locations into their individual
Right,
pieces.
right. But they have to be custom shaped cards in order to get the right shapes.
No.
Doug's not a fan of that answer.
I also just want to make just something clear for the people at home. I'm not drinking a tall boy beer during this live stream. This is a kind of water that Ian introduced me to called Liquid Death Mountain Water.
Yeah. Murders your thirst.
It murders your thirst.
And your computers almost.
Almost my computer, yeah. Which is why I keep putting it like way off camera.
Very far away.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
He's not day drinking.
I'm not day drinking yet. All right, so back to the Quiver. One of my absolute all-time favorite games. I have.
Jason Miller says it's beer.
It's. Stop it, Jason! Don't tell people.
It's Liquid Death, the can, but he poured beer into it with a funnel earlier.
Right. And so this is the Grizzle.
It's elaborate.
And it's expansion. So, I assume people know what the Grizzle is. If you don't,
fix that.
like act like you know.
John just got the campaign box, the Armistice edition. And I was like, oh man, I really want to play the campaign of that because I really like that game and I really like the expansion. So like, I can only imagine that I'm gonna love the thing. And they've done so much with just the original art for awful reasons. But if you didn't know the Grizzled, the artist on it was one of the artists who was killed in the Charlie Hebdo attacks with the cartoonists in France. And so they weren't able, obviously, to do new art, but they wanted to keep supporting the product and the message of peace that it brought. So every expansion has just reused the art in new ways, because the art is great. The art is phenomenal.
So evocative.
The art is so good. But yeah, I thought that was really cool that they didn't just like, oh, we'll never release this game again because we don't have the art. They kept putting out this game that is about the power of friendship over war and violence, and they did it the best way possible. I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is
and
a phenomenal
they
game.
keep I think they keep paying the family of the artist. I think all of the revenue goes to them too, which is great.
And for the longest time, I did not get the expansion because I was like, the original Grizzled is perfect.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing that an expansion could possibly add to it that could make it any better. And then, was it last summer when we were at Portal?
Yeah, it was either there or I had brought it to your place, but it was probably at the Portal.
Well, you probably brought it to my place like 3 times, and I was like, no, Luke, I'm not playing it. Why would I? The original is perfect. And then, like, we were there, and I think you were like, would you just play it? And I was like, fine, but it's not going to, this is amazing.
This is not going to be oh my God.
This adds stuff I didn't know it. it would benefit from.
Right.
So good. Yeah, I want to check out the campaign mode too. I picked that up half price at my local game store. Didn't know that it doesn't have like the base game in it. They thought it was like base game and then you add to it over campaign. And so I busted it out to like play with some people and introduce them, and was like, oh, this only goes up to 4, and it's not like. And they were like, oh, well, do you want it? And I was like, Jesus, yes, of course.
Obviously.
Here's a 20.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, back to the Quiver. I'm almost done.
Adam Young says, do you have the Grizzled expansion there too, Doug? Which you obviously
I do, yeah.
And he says, I think it improves 2-player play with the expansion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think the campaign iteration has an updated AI for it, so which is nice.
Yeah.
Unpopular opinion, I think this is the best version of the game over the campaign box. Having played through the campaign personally, basically everything I want from the game is right here.
Mm-hmm.
The miniatures are nice.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is also broken because I am insane and store everything into smaller boxes.
Yeah, when Luke came to my house, he was like, hey, can I have, like, because I fit all of my, when it's not in here, I fit both the Grizzled and its expansion in one of the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And he was like, hey, can I have one of your Grizzled boxes? And I was like, I don't know, I'm using it as a dice tray, so I guess. And he fit everything from the Armistice edition into the
everything that's not a part of
box.
the campaign. Like the campaign-specific cards that you can't use in the normal game. Everything else fit in that box.
Yeah.
Including the miniatures. Also, one of them is now one-armed, which is fine. I think it was
it's like a metaphor.
the really sad guy. He's missing a hand now.
Yeah.
It makes the campaign. It taught you more about the tragic backstory of that character.
And then I have this lives in here just for when I run games of Kids on Bikes at conventions. This is the powered character deck from Kids on Bikes,
which is nice.
Not,
you don't need it, but it's one of those like quality of life improvements, which I think are great for RPGs.
Yeah, every time I'm pitching this, I'm like, you don't need it. All of this information is in the book, and you could do note cards. And people are like, that seems like a lot of work. Yeah, here's $15.
Right.
Which is great. Like Matthias Benici did the layout for it, and I think just crushed it. Like really simple, really legible, really easy to read.
I didn't know this was a thing, but this is very nice.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want one, I know somebody.
I know a guy.
Oh, sorry. He's over in the other room.
Yeah.
Same time.
Ooh.
Then I have Hanabi without the rainbow cards in here.
Hanables.
Oh, okay. So without the super, what
Is it
what most people believe makes the game easy is actually what makes the game difficult. The rainbow cards.
Oh, the rainbow cards.
If you play them properly.
So difficult.
They're everything.
Just because I love this as like there was at Origins last year we were waiting for a game to start and just busted this out and played like a round of it, and everybody was like, "Oh man, that's amazing." So I have the cards, and then I'll go into what's up here. But spoiler, the tokens are up here.
Right. We had 2 games where we got perfects, but both of them have a giant asterisk, as in we didn't follow the rules properly.
Right.
Of course.
Because Julia and her parents are the people we played with, and every time we would, her dad would forget a piece of information. We'd be like, "What do you know?" Right? Which is fine to ask. You're like, "What do you know about your hand?" And he'd be like, "This is a 1," and we'd be like, "No," which is wrong. You can't do that.
Right.
You can't tell them that they're
wrong.
Yeah, that they're wrong. You just can ask them what they know,
right,
and then just be very disappointed when it's not what actually is true.
Right.
Yeah, and then you put your face into your shirt and scream hysterically,
but without showing emotion, without letting them know.
I really like Hanabi, but I really can't use this copy of game because when I was working at the casino, I discovered that my hands are overly acidic, or my sweat is overly acidic, I should say.
Stop touching my stuff.
Well, it's only if I handle the cards for extended periods of time. Well, what happened was, so because I was a blackjack dealer, I would handle the same deck of cards for like 8 hours. And by the time it was time for me to switch off shifts, people were like, "Do you like use lotion or something? Like, there's something wrong with these cards when you're done with them." And
Yes, because
I
he
licked
licks
my
things. He
hands
licked my quiver. You're licking the card. All right, let me see.
Yeah, this is a good deck right here. Really vintage.
It's got good mouth
2019 was a good year. Yes.
But one of my floors was like, yeah, I've seen this before. Like, you just have, your sweat has a higher acidity content than most other people. And that wears at the cards if you're using them for extended periods of time. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh.
I mean, also the dominoes are just quality of life. Like,
Right.
the dominoes
the
are so
deluxe
nice.
edition.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
Jim says, "Did you say John's sleeping in the other room?" No, he's actually having a meeting in the other room, so that's why we are sans John.
Cuts to, like, the other room, like the
Jason
camera
Miller
in the corner.
says, "I'm assuming this question for you, Doug. Who would you say was the best Origins roomies?"
So the best Origin roomies, I would have to say, would be Luke and Jason. If I have to decide between the two, I'm probably going to go with the one who didn't lie to me about whether or not he snores.
Was that Jason?
I'll just say that.
Frankly, I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure everyone snored that weekend.
You know who you are. And
I legitimately don't remember. Oh, that's terrifying.
God, that room.
So I think a counter question to
That room.
Jason is who is the best person that's ever offered you a pierogi and not lied about it?
I mean, nobody's ever lied about pierogies. Some people, like, just if there's a pepper in something, like, oh my God, this is spicy.
Or you're like, no, this one's spinach, but that one was categorically not spinach. It was whatever the spicy one was.
Fair enough. There may have been poblano in the spinach, but yeah.
But no, the spinach one would have been fine, but it wasn't the spinach.
It wasn't the spinach.
It was like the buffalo spice one or whatever.
No, it was not.
It was whatever one was packaged with it, which was spicy.
It was poblano peppers, which is a bad look to package with spinach because we're like, that one's a little bit greenish. That's probably fine.
Right.
Yeah. But no, that room we stayed in at Origins, the floors were like just a little too sticky.
Yep.
Like not quite sticky enough that you're like, I'm leaving here and never coming back.
Right.
But like just sticky enough that you're like,
Yeah, the whole hotel space, like the atmosphere felt very
sticky.
Yeah, like the air quality itself felt very muggy, I think is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then the last game I have in my quiver is Arboretum, the deluxe edition from
I played that for the first time, like a week ago.
It's a good game.
So good.
It was really good. I was like, okay, no, I get it. It was tough. Like I was, my brain.
Yeah.
I was so annoyed. Like I had things that were worth so much.
Right.
And there was like one card that could ruin me.
Yep.
And someone else is like, oh, I have that for scoring, and I was like, no.
I've been saving this for eons, just for you, Ian.
But I accidentally ruined a lot of other people's scoring just by holding cards in my hand that I'm like, I don't want to give these to people.
Right.
I'm not going to score this, but I don't want to give these to people.
I played a game where the scores were 0, 0,
Oh, that's
0,
the fancy
3,
shiny
if
version.
I
It
recall
is the fancy
correctly.
shiny version,
Shiny version.
Comes with a wooden box.
It does come with a wooden box. And then up top, I have my tokens. So in this bag, there are then smaller bags.
And those bags are smaller bags.
And then it's just tiny bags all the way down. So the tokens for Hanabi, tokens for support tokens and support tiles for the Grizzled, and speech tokens, tokens for Gothic Doctor and the Partial Treatments expansion, and those are all the tokens. And I also have, I took these out earlier so they wouldn't rattle around while I was moving it, but my penny and dollar coin counters for Magic.
You have actual dollars in there?
Oh yeah, I got like...
Man, I understand pennies, but couldn't you do like...
I got like $7 in coin in here. Yeah.
Like pennies and nickels I think would be fine, right? But...
So Ian, I don't know if you know this about me, I'm an acclaimed board game designer who can afford dollar coins.
So is it Hanabi or is it Hanabi?
Yes.
I think it's pronounced Hanabi.
Okay, that's why I'm asking, because I feel like you would know better than me, but I've never heard anyone call it that before. Ever.
I'm just gonna stay stuck in my ways and of the way that I've always pronounced it, which is Hanabi.
Because there's a movie with the same name that I've definitely heard pronounced Hanabi.
Okay.
So.
Hey, I mean, if you know out there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Let us know in the comments.
All right, so Luke, did you do? I saw you counting. Did you do the grand total of games
Yeah,
that I crammed?
I've already forgotten it, but
bad
it's
boy?
14. If I can.
You've already
count
forgotten
correctly.
it, but it's 14.
Yeah, I've already forgotten it until I remembered it. It's 14. If you include the deck of cards.
Well, that's infinite then. Deck of cards is infinite.
Because this is one game. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah.
Yep.
So you have 14 games in
Mhm.
your quiver.
Yes.
Is that enough?
Never enough.
It's never enough.
I think I probably have less. I think I probably have like 10-ish
Mhm.
in mine. Because I think mine are all, I don't have any of the wallet games. I think mine
Right.
are all just individual games. And I think I have a deck builder in there, which takes up some space.
Mhm.
Speaking of wallet games, I finally got around to picking up a copy of Mintworks, and I'm really excited for that to
Yeah.
arrive while I'm out here. Because, like, I loved that game when I first... I'm obsessed with the idea of a game that can fit in your pocket. It's a little unhealthy. That's why when I first started getting into games, I would take games and cut their boxes physically and, like, tape them up and be like, that's better. It's smaller now.
Jason Miller has figured out the pronunciation. He says, I think it's pronounced 2018 pierogi incident.
He's not wrong. And then other stuff that often goes in here that I don't have now. The Mind was living in here for a while.
Mm-hmm. It's a good one.
That's
in
so.
mine.
It sort of depends who I'm traveling with. Like if I'm traveling with my wife, I switch stuff out. Like The Mind is definitely going to be in there if she and I are playing.
Mm-hmm.
Nantucket by Nat Levan, which is what were they calling it? It's from the Dice Hate Me Greater Than Games Rabbit line, their small box games.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a miniaturized version of New Bedford, which is also a great game by Nat.
Sure.
Have you
Because I haven't played any of these.
Oh man. But Nantucket is like just this wonderful little like coin flipping as a mechanic
okay.
game, but like not crappy.
But not coin age. Right?
But not coin age,
Yeah,
no.
that one was-
That was fun for like 3 games. Like
Right.
the first time I played, I was like, "Oh snap!"
I was
The
like,
second
oh, this
time
is
I
cool.
played it, I was like,
I was like, oh,
"Okay."
yeah, I got it.
And the third time, I was like, "I did spend money on this, didn't I?" No. Yeah, I just realized it wasn't for me. It's a good game. Like what it does with that small amount of stuff is really,
Right.
really cool.
I believe I also have Illusion in mine, which is the same designer as the Mind.
They're illusions, Michael.
Illusions. They're not tricks.
I've heard about Illusion. I've seen it. I know it's also made by Wolfgang Warsch,
Yep.
I think is his name.
Yep.
I definitely would like to
Also
try that
released
out
by
at some point.
Dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh, those guys.
Yeah, that was one.
Yo, at Origins,
Listen,
Illusion,
they're all in a meeting, so we can talk crap about them
True.
now.
that game sold like gangbusters at Origin. It was there and gone that Friday.
Yeah.
Like the what stock they had, they brought out on Friday, and it sold by the end of the day. All of it.
Adam Young says, I grab both Mint games. I'm an outlier, though, and prefer Mint Delivery. I don't think I've played Mint Delivery.
I haven't either.
Um,
I know Tim has it. I've heard interesting things about it.
And then Jim says, I once knew a man from Nantucket.
Mm.
There's probably a whole story there, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, I feel like it's a short story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 lines at best.
Best. Or worst.
Or worst. But yeah, so that was your entire quiver, which you said obviously things
Mhm.
swap in and out.
Yep.
Is there any big games that you wish were smaller?
Yeah.
Besides Spirit Island, obviously.
Spirit Island. I mean, not to suck up to one of the hosts, but Duelist or Dinosaur Island. Like, I'd love to be able to fit that.
Oh, that'd be tough.
Right.
Challenge accepted. I mean, Duelosaur is not
It's
too big.
You gotta slice up those.
Well, you
those
can't
dual
have
layer
like
boards.
you can't have the custom made meeples for the dinos anymore if you're gonna do it
Right
that way.
for Dinosaur Island, sure. Like they have hard enough time fitting it in the original box.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Versus a quiver.
What else? I mean, if I wanted to invest just in like, I'd probably take like 7 quivers. For a long time, before my wife and I had our daughter, we played a lot of Legacy. Like we really, really loved Legacy, and so to be able to put all that in and be like, okay, this is like when I first got it, I was like, oh man, there's way too much space in this box. And by like my 8th expansion, I was like, why isn't there more space in this box? But yeah, to be able to have like, okay, this is the villain's quiver. Like, open this up, take stuff out. Like, this is the
legendary.
Nice. Legendary, yeah.
You said legacy.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say
was very
legacy?
confused.
I'm caffeinated. I apologize.
I was like, what legacy game? Which one?
I was either thinking like originally I was like, okay, so like a legacy or like legacy Gears of Time or whatever. I was
Right.
like, oh cool, or the Magic format legacy.
Right.
I was like, man, you're really into legacy, like that 2-turn monster that is legacy. But yeah, no, that makes more sense. Legendary.
Legendary, yeah.
Legendary is massive.
It is.
I spent way too much money on that to find out that it was not a game for me.
I spent exactly the right amount of money on that to find out it is exactly the game for me.
Right.
What's your favorite?
For a long time, we had every expansion, I think, up until the Champions expansion was the last one we bought.
Champions
just
expansion's
just
good.
the Marvel.
That's pretty new.
We still haven't played that one yet. Like we didn't get any of the film ones.
Yeah.
We didn't get World War Hulk.
No.
Um,
Although World War Hulk seems like a cool one to me. I
Yeah.
wasn't a big fan of the Ragnarok set because that just feels like double dippy.
So when we're at game days, normally one of the co-designers of News 11, Earl Teetsort, he always brings Legendary, and will always people will always play it. Like there's always a group that of devoted people who will play it for at least 1 or 2 or like 3 games.
Yeah.
And they play a version of Legendary that's called Dick Legendary, which is specifically. It takes it from a thing that is kind of competitive that you all want to win to a thing that's like, I'm going to do what's best for me at all times.
okay.
I know you're building Thor. I don't care. I can pay for it, so I'm going to take that Thor card.
That sounds awful. My wife and I play the opposite way. We go full co-op with
Right.
it, which we started doing after she got frustrated because just the way I think about games, I'm like, okay, optimal would be this,
Right.
this. And she's just like, I want to have fun. Like, I really like Hulk, so I want the Hulk cards.
Right.
And Rocket and Groot are really good friends. They should be in the deck together, which is great because then we sort of have shifted over to using it to tell stories
Yeah.
rather than, and be goofy rather than min-maxing and all that sort
Right.
of stuff.
I just get too obsessed with the idea of well, I can't have a team of Angel and Rocket and Captain America because that just goes against all of the comics. It's not allowed. And I get way too I get way too invested in the comic book lore surrounding it rather
Right.
than the actual game system.
So the other thing they would do is they were doing campaign Legendary for a while. You
Yes.
can do the randomizer, but with the randomizer you can set things that you don't want in there.
Mhm.
So they would do if they would go up against a villain and have a random assortment of a team.
Yeah.
If they won, then they would never use that villain again. They beat that villain. If they
Mhm.
lost, then they would never use any of those heroes again.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would just kept going through there. And they had won I think 5 games in a row the day before when they played. And then they met me. And then they came to game day and I played, and they lost 4 games in a row with me. And they just were destroying team after team.
Mhm.
And they had some all-stars in there.
Right.
And I was like, I feel real bad about this, but also
I feel real good about this.
yeah.
That's what you call
Yeah.
challenge mode.
Right.
We played because we realized we keep playing with the same ones,
Mhm.
right? My wife really likes Hulk. That's fun. And
Yeah.
we're Guardians of the Galaxy was we saw it together 3 times in theaters, right? Because it just came at a perfect time when we were both very sad and we were this is just great.
Yeah.
And so we played that expansion into the ground in a good way. So we discovered there's on BGG there's a campaign mode, and so that encourages you to go through and play every different character. So at this point, we've played almost every single character we have, and then we have it organized at home into okay, we haven't played with these heroes yet, or we haven't played against these villains yet.
Right.
The Champions expansion we have, but we've never cracked it open. The Deadpool expansion, same.
Right.
X-Men expansion, we're 2/3 of the way through. But when we play now, it's okay,
Right, new
Is
team.
that the New Mutants X-Men expansion or the Dark City one? Or because I know there were like a few of those.
There's it's just called X-Men, I think. It was like one of their big box expansions.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the
yeah.
New Mutants
like
more
Dark
focused
City
one.
side. Well, the New Mutants in that one are bystanders who you can rescue, and then they join your group, which was a cool mechanic.
I thought that was the one with like Legion and stuff in it, but that must be a different set.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Someone else buys all the legendary, and then they bring it to game day, and I just randomly play it. So
Yeah,
sure.
That's my experience with legendary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would like if I had infinite money, I would
Just-
quiver all that
yeah.
up. And then like I'd be able to color code. Oh man.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh.
I
It's
think
getting my books are in alphabetical order sense all tingly.
This is my blue quiver, which means it's full of X-Men.
Right, exactly.
I
Not
think
the gold quiver, that's the gold team. Back off.
Back off.
the hardest part for me about Legendary is there's not really a great starting point anymore for me. Like the base game
Yeah, they haven't released
is
like
too
a big box.
easy.
Yeah.
And all of the art's the same across all the cards, which just bothers me from like it's not the same.
Did you get
It's not the same as everything else.
Spider-Man Homecoming.
I mean,
Where it's just stills from the movie.
It upsets me. Tim has it and he showed me, and the villains are Vulture and Vulture's equipment as two separate villains.
Sure.
And I'm like, there's an entire character that you play that's all of Peter's friends, and it's like this is not okay for me.
Admin says, I bet you could put Food Chain Magnate in a quiver fairly easily. But you'd have to splatter at that point.
Yeah. And
you have to want to.
I don't like Food Chain Magnate.
I look at it and I'm like,
no.
you could have art, you could have.
And I've heard
You could have
Pipeline is
I'm going
a
on
slightly more fun version.
to find my shelfie just so I can like have a better
Right.
because my memory
And then
is
Adam
so
Young
bad.
says, and we played Buffy Legendary. The light dark system is cool, even though I'm the only one in the house not familiar with Buffy at all.
I've been meaning to watch Buffy for a long time just to like understand it, because it's like I mentioned to you guys earlier. I really liked Joss Whedon's work when I was younger,
Right.
and that was one of those things that I just never got around to. And so while I'm not as big of a fan of his work anymore,
I missed the boat, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it left without me, and I don't really have the time to go back.
well,
It's like The Office. Like I never watched The Office when it was on, and from what I know,
I mean, if you want to watch workplace bullying, it's great.
it's kind of like it's very hit or miss. Of like these episodes are great, these episodes aren't in every season. So I was like, I could either watch the hits or I could just skip the whole thing because I've seen enough clips from that show to I get it. I understand. I know what it's about. I watched all of Parks and Rec because
it's great.
7 seasons, fantastic all the way through. But yeah, I don't feel like I need to like watch go back and watch The Office. Same with Buffy or Angel or any of those. Like I don't need to like go back. Like I think I get it. I understand why it was great.
Right.
I understand why people loved it. It's just I don't need to experience it personally to understand it.
Man, where my shelfie at? This is probably thrilling live stream for people. The other thing that I use the Quiver for a lot, I forgot to mention this, is prototyping, right? So like when I go to a convention, it's really nice to be able to carry that around with like, here's Tricky Dungeon, here's all the components for Palace Garden, here's like whatever I'm working on at this point.
Yep. We don't do that. that's not the size of games that we normally make. They normally wouldn't fit. Like there's no way. I mean, maybe it's a future challenge to get Wonderland's War into a quiver.
I mean, definitely possible, I think, from what I know of it, but I'll have to see at some point in the next few days, get a better scope of what kind of work that would need.
Right. It would need, you have to redo the locations and the player boards.
Right. The player boards is the most difficult part. If it's just one board for the game, that's pretty simple.
Yeah.
As you'll see on future episodes, I've already done that.
Yeah.
I've tackled that. But yeah, I love working on this kind of thing. I'm super weird about it, and
I mean, I want to say this was like mostly your idea. It was mostly your follow through, right? Like we kind of you latched onto the idea of us, like we kept jokingly saying, especially with Jim talking about like he wanted to do it with like Willy Quiver with Blood Rage, and just do it in like the most aggravating way
The
possible.
most destructive
Yeah,
way.
the most destructive way possible. They're like, oh, you can get Blood Rage in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't need all the minis. You just need their bases, right? You just write the name on the base, and then there you go. All your minis in like
that's
a
super
spot this
upsetting.
big.
I mean, you could definitely do it very legitimately.
Take the board, slice it into strips.
Well, the board could easily just be coasters.
Right.
Like, as long as you can label where the different ports are for the boats, that'd be super easy to just put together. Especially since all of the board locations, or no, not the board locations aren't variable. It's the different destruction tokens that are variable. But even still, I think it's very valid.
The destruction tokens could just, like, I mean, I guess you still need them to say, like, this is going to blow up at the end of this round.
Mm-hmm. But you could have a baggie of, like, smaller
just
tokens for that. Pull out one of
right.
those and boom. Yeah.
Well, you kind of get to see. You get to see what things blow up.
Right.
So you need to have those off to the side. But then the locations could just be a coaster that flips over.
Right. What I was saying was, like, at the start of each round, you pull out the particular token, put it aside, and go, that's what's blowing up at the end of the round.
No, that's all set from the beginning of the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're right.
So
It's been a little while.
Round.
It's been a little while since I
game
played it.
Boom, boom, boom. That's done.
I played the Loki strategy back in the
you're
day.
one of them.
One of those.
Adam says makes sense for prototypes. Mine are in shoeboxes and they're clunky.
Mm-hmm.
It says when you pitched this, I thought, will it blend? What's your something smoke equivalent catchphrase? Will it blend? I don't know that I've ever watched those videos. I know there's a lot of like the Will It series, like Will It Microwave or whatever. Where they
Will It Fit?
things.
I guess is the equivalent for this.
But no, we need like we need a catchphrase. That's what he's saying. Is like we did it, or
Chit gets real.
Yeah,
there we go. I dig that.
He sorted that shit out.
That's where you bring
Chit.
down the sunglasses.
Right. Deal with it. Yeah, we've been streaming for about an hour. It's been like an hour 10.
Yeah.
So we said about an hour for
Mhm.
the stream. But yeah, so next week will be another video, right?
Yeah. Not of mine.
Not of yours. I believe that'll be one of the first ones of John's series on highlighting games that he has in his quiver and why he thinks, and like why he chose them to be in his quiver.
Yeah.
And the general quiverability of them, right? Like, this is a deck of cards that has a rule book or whatever. Oh, I had to do a little bit of extra tweaking for this one.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he has it set up so every episode he's talking about 2 different games.
Yeah.
Which is how he filmed all the videos. So we will. They would still. I mean, they're not long. I mean, it's gonna be the goal of this is not to make like super long videos unless like unless the game needs it, right?
Yeah.
Like, unless we're like, well, we had to do a lot of math. And here it is.
Yeah, clearly my videos established a very breakneck pace to what I was doing, and mostly because mine was like a how-to video. And it also prevents me from going on those long tangents that I have a very strong tendency to do.
Right.
So.
Blend tech, will it blend? Blender ads, whenever they blend things, they say like, iPhone smoke, as toxic smoke pours out of the blender as they're blending an iPhone.
Can you blend it? Where we take a board game and try and fit it in a blender,
right.
and then turn on the blender and see how everything
and
works.
It's like, oh, well, we kind of knew how this was gonna go.
Hey, look.
Sorry, Thanos.
It's not rising anymore.
And then he just spread his dust ashes out.
That's right.
Yeah.
But so if you want to see more stuff like this, I believe I'm going to upload this onto our YouTube page afterwards so people can see it. But we do have a YouTube. It's just Infectious Play. If you want to go find us,
that was
notification ding.
Letting you know where it was.
No, it was just my ring hitting the coffee mug. But yeah, so we have that. We have an Instagram, have the Twitter, all the stuff. Just find us. You know what to do.
Yeah, and
you know how this works. We do want to start doing giveaways along with the live streams. I didn't have one set up for this one, but in the future, we want to do a live stream and then a giveaway of maybe a game that we featured on there, and enough like of the Quiver sleeves to actually sleeve it. I think one of our first ones we wanted to do was Shards of Infinity.
That's right.
I think that's one that Jim has in his quiver. So when we have Jim on, we wanted to do that one as a giveaway.
I still need to play that.
Oh,
Me
so
too.
Much fun. It is stripped down deck building down to its core, with like 1 or 2 tricks, but the 1 or 2 tricks are done so well that it makes it like, okay, this is a generic deck builder, but it's not
Mhm.
because I'm having these really fun decisions.
Yeah. I've heard
Um,
it compared to Xenon Profiteer, which is a phenomenal deck
Yeah,
So
yeah,
good.
with TC. I
Yeah.
really like that game.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, oh, you want all this good stuff? Well, here, take a bunch of bad stuff.
Right.
But yeah, so I guess check out the things, and we will let you get back to your day, whatever it is you're doing on a Monday, working probably. I don't know. I don't know what your work schedule's like.
60 hours a week.
60 hours a week. We gotta get back to our 60-hour-a-week jobs. Jobs. But yeah, so I guess tune in next time. See you
Yep.
next Monday.
Next
I will
Monday.
personally see you next Wednesday for
Mhm.
our coffee stream, which I think is when you guys will be heading back.
We'll be on the road by then.
You'll be on
Yeah.
the road. You can
On
tune
the
in.
road again.
Yep.
That won't be dangerous at all.
No.
So what time do you do that? Because we're going to do a
11.
live stream of a LARP that somebody suggested we do, where we are characters in an '80s road trip movie.
Of course.
And I think it's going to be that I'm Luke's either older brother or
Right.
best friend, like
Yeah.
driving him to college,
Mhm.
Nice.
whereas like I didn't get out.
Right.
And so we're going to do that for probably about a half hour or so, but we won't do it at
11.
11 a.m. is
Yeah.
when we normally stream.
Okay.
But yeah. So I guess we'll like pitch it over to you guys when we're
Okay.
done. We'll be like,
Sure,
all right,
for
now
sure.
go watch their stream. All right, everyone. I guess store your chit. Sign off.
Yeah. Perfect. Flawless.